Hey, everybody, this is Josh McKinney, and I just want to welcome you to episode 136 of the I Suck at Jiu Jitsu show. So today, I'm going to just do a shorter episode, probably a shorter episode, hopefully a shorter episode. I don't have a ton of time, but I have been editing How to Learn Jiu Jitsu, and I'm just finishing editing this, and it comes out today for you guys. It comes out tomorrow for me, but I just don't have time to do a full hour-long episode. And I've had this episode in my back pocket for a while. It's actually been in my desk for a while, and I thought I would just kind of get into it. I think it would be a really fun one for us. And sometimes people like the more philosophical ideas on the podcast. And so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into this one. Here are 3 things that I have learned in jiu-jitsu that have helped me immensely in my everyday life. The first thing is going to be seeing multiple moves ahead. When I was a kid, I think I was 14, and I remember we would sit and watch jujitsu or watch the pro MMA class, especially on the nights that there was grappling. Maybe it was like Tuesday and Thursday nights. We would show up an hour early for jujitsu class, my dad and I, and we would watch these guys grapple. And some of them were typical MMA fighter grappling, didn't really have much, right? But then there were a few really good grapplers. And then there was my coach, Kyle, who was at the time really, really a great brown belt. I think in the beginning, I think he was almost at the end of purple belt. But I probably around this time, he's about to get his brown belt, and he was really, really good at jiu-jitsu. And I remember this conversation vividly. I remember my dad and I driving home from the hit squad one night, and he said, man, Kyle just, he sees 2 or 3 moves ahead. He said, he's doing the same thing to these guys over and over. And it's almost like he's forcing it to happen. And so when we talk about seeing multiple moves ahead, right? One of the simplest ways to do this is to be intentional, is to be observant. You see so many things that are about to happen by just observing what is happening right now. For example, sometimes we'll be at a jiu-jitsu tournament, and I will do this thing where I'll point to a match and I'll go sweep. And then like 2 seconds later, there will be a sweep. And I do this because I've been around jiu-jitsu a long time. I'm very observant to jiu-jitsu. I've seen so much of it, and I really, really care about it, right? I'm intentional when I look. So when I see a cross collar grip and I see a sleeve grip, and I go, oh, this guy, he wants this scissor sweep. And I look at the opponent, and the opponent is leaning over top of the person. This is not a good defense for the scissor sweep. I can guess, yeah, he's getting swept them out here, or he's going to get very off balanced. And so that is this cool thing in jiu-jitsu. You actually start to learn to see the future. And something that's interesting about seeing the future, just like if you're going with a very good black belt, sometimes they're not just seeing 3 or 4 moves ahead. Oftentimes, they are making something happen 3 or 4 moves ahead, right? They have the insight to say, well, if I get this grip now, once I pass the guard, I'm going to be able to choke him with it very quickly, right? That doesn't mean that it just fell into his hand. No. And it's just like that in our everyday lives. When I am looking at my business, when I am saying, okay, with the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show, I need to do the 7 days to suck less, right? And if I just went in with absolutely no plan on how I was going to get people to listen, how I was going to let everyone even know that it was going on, what I was going to release that day, without that plan and without that kind of forced perspective, I guess that's not the right meaning for the word, that forced, I don't know, forced things happening, forced future. Let's call it forced future. By forcing my future, I was able to set myself up. I was able to study steps ahead and then hopefully get to a certain point in my business because of it, right? Uh, of course, of course, a lot of things are just luck, right? As much as I want to say it's all me figuring stuff out, a lot of things are luck, right? If I hit an algorithm on a podcast, that's going to be luck. But for me, seeing multiple moves ahead is saying, okay, eventually the podcast will get big. Eventually, I am going to get to where I want to be on the podcast. So to see multiple moves ahead, I can say, here's are going to be the steps when I get to this number of listeners, right? I'm just figuring out how to make a plan a little bit better and just use a little bit more foresight with these things. And a lot of times it's kind of like I was thinking, should I talk about it? Yeah, I'll talk about this. So people talk like love the law of attraction, right? So the law of attraction says like what you put out will come back to you. So if I put out that I am going to be the best podcaster in the world, and and I am speaking that into existence, and I am just believing that, then eventually one day I will be the best podcaster in the world. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's just how it comes back to you. But my thought on this, my thought on why these things work is because if I believe that I'm going to be the best podcaster in the world, and I know, okay, once my podcast hits these numbers and I keep going, then I will be successful. Then I'll be on my way to being the best podcast in the world. Well, one, every time I get a new listener, every time I get one, I go, yep, there it is. There it is. I'm told you it's happening right now. It's happening in front of your eyes, right? It is that belief. It is that nearly blind faith that I have that could put me in position to be the best podcaster ever, right? To have the biggest jiu-jitsu podcast of all time. But you got to have that blind faith because so often you're going to get discouraged. So often you see 4 moves ahead and you were wrong about the first move, right? But if you believe in the goal, if you really believe that what you are doing matters, or what you are doing is going to change your life, or just back to jujitsu, if you believe that you are going to hit this sweep on this guy, you're going to try to make it happen. You're going to get stuck in a position and then say, no, I've got to hit this sweep on this guy. And then you're going to start to free up some space and set that sweep up again, or maybe threaten the choke and then set the sweep up again, right? When we have this blind faith, oftentimes we're able to see moves ahead and we fail. And then guess what? It doesn't matter because we're going to make those steps happen. And so I guess that is kind of my random thought on seeing multiple moves ahead. So the second thing that jiu-jitsu has taught me, and this is of course the whole theme of the podcast, is the importance of learning. It is insane how few people learn after they get out of school and get their first job that they're going to stay in forever, right? So often, once you learn that job, that's the last thing that you learned that isn't, it isn't about like survival. The last thing that you intentionally learned for a lot of people. And jujitsu is so much fun because you're learning so much. What I've noticed though is when I have an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old that's in school, and they come into jujitsu, they are way more likely to be able to jump right in. They're way more likely to be able to do well, right? And then when I have a 40-year-old, oftentimes they aren't likely to be a natural. Oftentimes they don't get better really quickly. But there are some 40-year-olds who do. There are some 18-year-olds who don't get better, right? But there are some 40-year-olds who get better really quick. And usually they are the ones who come in and have already mastered something else. They are literally, it doesn't even have to be a physical thing. The people that tend to get better at jujitsu are people that know how to master things. Learning, of course, learning jujitsu needs to be specific to jujitsu, but learning, if you are a good learner, you will know how to apply different ideas of learning to jujitsu pretty much immediately. And most of the time, it's subconscious. Most of the time, we don't even think about that we are learning or how we're learning, right? And so, what that might look like for you is while your coach is saying something, everybody hears everything as equal importance, but you notice that your coach said the same thing twice, and you are a good learner. And so you go, oh, that is important. And not only that, but you're curious. Anyone who's a good learner has to be curious. And so maybe afterwards, the coach is coming around and you say, hey, coach, you did these techniques. You showed this technique, but then you said, you know, move his hips this way like 2 or 3 times. Could you tell me that a different way? Because I don't really understand it, but I know that it was important because you said it 2 or 3 times. And so maybe your coach gives you a different way to help you understand this. And now you're better at jujitsu, right? Again, we know the two most important things, the two things that matter when it comes to learning jujitsu is understanding and repetition. And for that, you have increased your understanding. And it's because you know how to learn. For me, I have learned that I am now a good learner because I have mastered jujitsu. I was not naturally at 14 a kid that learned everything that was really an exceptionally high performer by any means. But after 14 years of learning jujitsu and 6 more of grappling, I now know how to apply those ideas on learning other things. I feel comfortable when I try a new skill. I know immediately I'm going to suck. I'm very, very, very seldom a natural at things. But since I'm good at learning, now that I know how to learn because of jujitsu, doesn't matter. All I have to do is say, okay, what questions would I ask for jujitsu? How would I think about this? How who is a good learner? Who is a good learner at whatever this skill is? Is there somebody that I like that I can find online? Oh man, this guy is my new online instructor. I really like him. I'm going to find inspiration from him, right? All the same things I talk about on the podcast. Uh, you could kind of apply to regular learning. And these are just observations that I found for myself. These are just little things that I've said, oh, I seem to get better when I think about jujitsu on the ride home. Right. And so if I was trying to be an archer, it wouldn't be different. I would go, man, this guy, I felt I really didn't feel like I had control. And this guy said my elbow should be here. Was it there? Was it there the whole time? And then maybe it was there. Well, how do I know that this guy's right? How do I know that this guy is the best coach right now? I better look up some other people. I better get some other opinions on this, right? This is just how, this is just like how I learned jujitsu, but we're applying it to something different. And that's the cool thing about learning. And just last little bit on learning is, like I said, the importance of learning. Um, if you know how to learn, you can kind of accomplish anything. If you are, and obviously you have enough time to do it, but that is an important skill to have just for everyday life. We're about to hit a huge transition in our culture in America. More people now are going to be working from home, working on a computer, and doing different tasks. If you knew how to learn, you would have way less fear about this, right? Obviously, any change is going to be uneasy for anybody, of course. But you would say, well, even if I get fired from my job, I mean, I could learn this skill. I could start now, right? When you know how to learn, you are just ahead of everybody else. Even the people that you are behind of, you catch up with because you know how to learn. A blue belt who knows how to learn much better than a black belt will eventually be better than that black belt. And there's no question about that. If you know how to learn better, you progress faster, right? Not just at jujitsu, but at life, just at every point. And so put importance on learning or learning how to learn. which reminds me, you guys should check out How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu, my new jiu-jitsu instructional. Man, I did no prep for this besides pulling out this piece of paper that has the 3 habits on it. And that little plug right there, that just came totally natural. I didn't even have to think about it. This is what a great day. So now the third thing that jiu-jitsu has taught me. Hey guys, this is Josh again. I just want to interrupt this episode and tell you about something really exciting that we have going on at simplifyingjujitsu.com. So starting now, my dad and I just released our brand new instructional, How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu. And since this instructional is like something that no one has ever seen before, it's very hard to explain what you will be getting when you purchase How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu. So instead, I thought I would contrast it. Most instructionals that you buy are pretty much a list of techniques and ideas, and then they say, hey, take this list and then get good at it. But there's a problem. You don't know how to learn jiu-jitsu. All you know how to do is watch instructionals. But how do you translate what these guys are saying in the instructionals and turn it into beautiful jiu-jitsu? You use training method, and that is what we focus on How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu, in the How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu course. My dad and I actually got together for 4 hours and learned jiu-jitsu. We trained. We went through designated winner. We went through positional sparring. We went through exploration drilling, all the different styles of drilling, and produced really the most exciting instructional that I have ever seen. No one has done something like this. This instructional is about 55 minutes long, and it is made to be watched over and over again. It's made to be able to pick up little nuggets, and it's also made to enjoy. It's made to be fun to watch. But most importantly, it is made to help you learn jiu-jitsu. And on top of that 55-minute instructional, you get an extra few hours, about 3 hours of bonus content. And these bonus content are match breakdowns. Actually, there is even a workout with my dad. He shows you guys how to lift weights. There are so many different things that we packed in How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu, and I really am just excited to share it with you guys. You can only get it at simplifyingjujitsu.com/learn. So again, if you want to check out our brand new instructional, How to Learn Jiu-Jitsu, go to simplifyingjujitsu.com/learn. The third thing that jiu-jitsu has taught me is commitment to a goal, and the importance of committing to a goal. We talk about this in jiu-jitsu a lot. We'll kind of change this up. Instead of commitment to a goal, let's say having a focus. I don't think that everything in life has to be goal oriented. I think it's very fun. It's really cool to have financial goals, to have jiu-jitsu goals, competitive goals, people that you want to beat in the gym. Those are great things. But when we have a goal, we have focus, right? I would rather stay on focus. We'll keep it a little, it's weird. I'm going to talk about focus, but keep it a little more broad. But when we have focus, that is when we are going to see the most success, especially on the mat. When you go into jiu-jitsu practice and say, I'm just here, I'm here to see what happens. I'm here to, learn whatever the coach teaches, try it 3 times, and then roll live. You're most likely not going to get good. You're not going to get good very quickly unless you're just obnoxiously natural at learning jiu-jitsu, which very, very few people are. But when you decide, no matter what we're working, I need to make sure I get some reps of my guillotine, even if that means after practice, I have to get some reps of my guillotine, or I'm getting my reps in my live rounds. Anytime I'm doing that, anytime I am focusing on something, committing to that focus, especially over a long period of time, I will get better at jiu-jitsu. And it's interesting. You get better at jiu-jitsu broadly by getting better at jiu-jitsu specifically, right? If I get really, really good at taking the back, that is a very specific thing. But not only that, I'm probably going to be more dangerous off my back because I have a new way of attacking you when I'm playing guard. I'm going to get better at finishing from the back because I'm going to find myself there way more often. I'm going to get better. I might even learn how to take the back from passing. Now I have a new additional dynamic to my passing that you're going to have to deal with. It's going to be really frustrating. So when I focus specifically, it's not uncommon that I broadly get better at jujitsu. But when I broadly focus in jujitsu, when I have no focus and I'm just training to train, a lot of times I don't get better. A lot of times that's when we feel our plateau happens. Anytime somebody says, Josh, I'm struggling, I hit a plateau, they say, what are you focused on? And a lot of times they don't have an answer. This is a tangent, but this was hilarious. So on Friday, one of my students, John, he was telling me, he's like, you know what question makes me more angry than anything? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer that question. Is it, like, do you have some time to, do you have some time to talk about, your energy bill or something like that? Is that the worst question? And he goes, no. He goes, I hate it when people say, hey, what have you been working on lately, John? He goes, because even when I have stuff that I've been working on, he goes, I instantly go blank. He goes, I don't know how I panic. I don't know how to respond to it. And one, that was hilarious. We laughed about it. Two, what was even funnier is like that was Friday. On Sunday, we were all training and somebody looked at John and Dad said, hey, John, what have you been working on lately? And I couldn't help but laugh. It was too perfect. But that was just a little tangent. When you don't have a focus, when you don't have something that you are trying to get better at, a lot of times you're just existing on the mat. A lot of times your drive home isn't helpful. We always talk about the drive home in jujitsu. How are you going to think about the rounds that you had today? Well, if you have a focus, if you said, well, my goal was to hit straight ankle locks, even if you hit 0 straight ankle locks, but you were trying them, you at least can think about something on your ride home, right? Something specific. You can say, man, everybody was freeing their knee line. I need to look that up tonight. Everybody was, I was getting it locked in. I just couldn't finish it on guys. I need to look that up tonight. I need to look that up tomorrow. I need to drill that more. I need to designated win that more, right? There are so many ways that we could get better, but we need that focus first, right? If I drive home from the gym and I was just rolling to roll, my thoughts are going to be this: man, John beat me tonight. Man, this guy passed my guard. Man, this right there. Or, oh, I beat this guy. Oh, I beat that guy. Good job. I beat this person. Good job. We talk about, I told this to my students before. A lot of times you get second place at a tournament and you drive home 5 hours and you problem solve things you could be doing better in your training, things you could be doing better in your technique, just so many different and exciting and innovative ideas. You really come up with all these great ideas on how you are going to accomplish the next goal. Now, sometimes you get first at a tournament and all you think about is, I won. Where should we go eat? That lack of focus is going to cause you a problem in the long run. Whether you win or you lose, you should always have something you're focused on. You should always have, if your goal is to get better at jujitsu, right? I understand that sometimes the goal isn't to get better at jujitsu. Even for me, training sometimes I'm coming in to train just for mental health. I'm going in to train just to get some rounds with my friends. And as you do that more, as you focus more, not just going to train and get rounds with your friends, but as you focus more, you will find that you get better. As you focus more on a goal in everyday life, if you focus on a goal in your marriage and you say, today I've got to get my spouse to smile. My spouse just doesn't seem to like me and I need to get my spouse to smile today. If you focused on that as a goal, do you think that would be bad or good for your marriage? Right? If you got to think about your goals and say, okay, how do I get there? What steps do I have to take? Back to the first point of seeing multiple moves ahead. What steps do I have to take to accomplish this? Right? Just that is enough to get better, right? Once you start to make steps, you start to, like Chewy always says, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. Once you start to get the ball rolling, once you start to create some steps, you start to accomplish the first step, you are able to accomplish big goals. And a lot of times for us in jiu-jitsu, those goals, those big goals are something as simple as I want to armbar somebody. I've never armbarred somebody from close guard, and I want to do that. But when I focus on that, I'm going to get better at arm bars because I've got to drill it some. I've got to learn about the arm bar. I've got to go with guys and try it sometimes. And eventually, once I just hit that armbar once, I'm now better at the armbar. And really, I'm probably better at learning now too. And so that is what I'll leave you guys with on this random Josh is dead tired episode. Uh, but hopefully it was a fun one. Hopefully it was a light one. And we will be right back on this Saturday. We're going to look at how to deal with injuries, not just from the physical perspective, but from the mental perspective. And so I'm excited to share that share that one with you guys on Suck Less Saturday. That's all I have for you guys. And that is the episode. I just want to thank you guys for checking out today's episode, for listening to the show and supporting the show and giving me that 5-star review that I know you want to give me. But this has been really fun. The 7 days to suck less, simplifying jiu-jitsu is growing. And I just want to just let you guys know, this is all I want to let you guys know to finish this one is lately, my dad and I have been talking a lot about teaching some seminars together. We've actually booked a few already, but we're going to kind of do a bit of a tour this year. I don't exactly know when, but I would just love to hear from you guys. If you guys would love for myself and my dad, or if the dates don't work, either one of us to come to your gym and teach. Maybe you have just a much older gym and you say, well, Josh, I would rather just have your dad. Would not offend me slightly. But if you guys want to do that, send me an email, josh@simplifyingjujitsu.com. If you think that your gym would be a great place to host us, I promise you we are way cheaper than most people and a lot more fun, a lot better too. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Thank you guys for everything you do. Give me that 5-star review. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I hope today's episode helps you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu. Have a great day, guys.